Alright guys, hi. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I'm really tired today. This is I'm at that point where just talking about this is exhausting and where you want it to just be over with, but responsibility calls and you have to see it through. So this is part 3 of going through this paperwork, and I'm a little happy today because in this stack somewhere, as you'll see, are a couple things. But one of them is evidence of my originally issued Social Security number, which I have not been able to get a hold of on a document from anyone. All requests for it have been entirely ignored since July of 2001. Excuse me. And I found this cool movie. I thought, being it's Saturday night and it's quarantine and I'm bored, but I don't know what this is, but I thought, you know what, this could be a cult hit, it could be a dud, I have no idea, but I just thought, I've never seen this, and apparently it's like computer animation video, and there's like 8 of them. So I'm gonna stream this over on my live stream on Instagram and let it play. We'll see what it is together. Anyway, something cool, something neat, why not, right? Excuse me. Okay, so we're getting into some of this paperwork, you guys, and this is another one of the good ones, okay? This is a statement of account for the Hudspeth County Appraisal District out of Sierra Blanca, and you can see it has the property ID. Excuse me. And basically what you're looking at here is they requested an account from 2011 to 2013, and it has the GO ID, it has Pueblo Heights, which is, well, it's just some information there. But what you have here is this document has been reverted to 2 acres only. It only reflecting 2 acres, which is to have utilities brought in you have to have a minimum of 10 acres, and we have all the utility bills, right? And so that right there tells you that there was originally, or there was at least a minimum of 10 acres. But nowhere in any of the documents, because the family safe was taken, do we see, excuse me guys, sorry, do we see anything about the landmark case where my parents won additional property? And I believe the developer who tracks back to this is the same one who tried to run us out later, or is associated with the one who wanted to run us out later, and has been expanding. So what you really have here is a possible, and again, additional analysis is required here, but what I believe you have is somebody come out as a land shark into unincorporated area, selling property that he may or may not have the right to sell, or has been issued one of these fancy Femmes, aka infrastructure passes, that in this particular area allocated, aka Republic of Texas, it's been allocated for use and development by a private group of individuals. Now, this, you can see here when it talked about the oil boom, that it's in the Pueblo Heights district, right? Which is this whole huge area. Now, there's another document here that I requested, okay? Because we've been disputing for some time the value of our acreage because of, one, a recent sale for that increased our land value, and to include the mineral rights, right? So we were trying to get a better analysis because in 2014 my father gave me the green light, because I wasn't supposed to be able to do the sustainable development project until after he passed away. But with the family coming under fire the way he did, he just said, you know what, just take it over. And you start to see 2014, we've just been getting hit and clobbered. But here's where they've messed up, okay? Right here it says owner ID 111103. You see my father's name, and you see my name right there. Archer Sierra, my previous victims of crime name, and there is my Severn address, the same place that my immediate family, my kids and I, came under fire. So while my father was beginning to come under fire, it all started. So you can see they started making moves back in 2013, long before these hospitalizations and all this stuff. And then you can see right here where she changes the owner ID from my address right here in Severn, Maryland, and she handwrites the new address and then puts down here in her own handwriting, power of attorney holder Christine Miller. Sierra Archer is not authorized to make any changes. And then they forged his signature, and then they put map of Pueblo Heights. So you can see this is all starting, it's all about this stupid oil. And again, here's all of my dad's signatures on Chase Bank records. None of these people, okay, and you can see my father, he supported the St. Labre Indian School, Boys Town, St. Joseph's Indian School, and he puts right here child food gift. He supported many charities, okay, and it's just sad. It's very, very sad. That's why I said my parents were they were good people. And then here you see more forged signatures with misspelled names, and it looks like maybe people were ordering food or something. And then here you can see back in 2009 when I had him fill out information for, you know, like when you have an O2 pump or a medical device. So in case of an electrical outage, you're one of the expedited houses to get your utilities back on. So, I mean, my father was fine until these people came around. And then more of this Tammy lady stuff. You can see she's just all over the place. She was in Arkansas State. She gets around, that's for certain. For a nurse who is supposed to be working 40, 60 hours a week, she sure does get around in a short period of time into multiple states. So, again, you'll see that when these guys write, there's very specific handwriting that you look at that goes back into, you'll see these in records as far back as World War II. You'll see very key signatures, the way, if you look back at the stuff I did on Zodiac, you'll see that this is in the records, the forensic records. So the way that they communicate is through a lot of this, okay? So investigators, when you start looking at stuff, you can't just look at like, oh, what's the address, what's this? You have to kind of dig a little deeper when you're going through documents. And that gives you telltale signs of whether or not a good idea of what you're dealing with, who you're dealing with, and if there's elements of this particular area of victim of crime that I discussed. Now, there's a Chase Bank record that was located at the property, the homestead, but it's from a different gentleman altogether. So how his mail from another Salt Flat, Texas address ended up at the house, I just thought that was weird. And here's another one where you can see she was literally just going over floating fraudulent paperwork, put herself onto the Chase Bank account. See, and you know what? It's sad. My father was saying he wasn't getting, about 2013, kept saying he wasn't getting his cards. And here's a Father's Day card, the same one he said he didn't get. And there it is right there. So somebody was going through his mail and not giving him our communications. That's nice. So I'm starting to see a lot of, see, he's looking, he's trying to figure out where his money's going. But there's a lot of withdrawals for $500 cash repeatedly. And then this is what I bought when I went out. Here's all the stuff for the bathroom. Shower hoses, hand shower, seal tape, see? And then these people weren't doing anything. They purposely let this house go into, oh my gosh. Oh, so here's what I was going to show you. So there's a lot of records. There's a whole thing of records there. I'm not going to put you guys through that. I'm just going to put it in chronological order and put it in the file, but there's a lot, okay? And it's probably going to take me a couple days in a data entry to go through and really do an analysis of where all that money went. I'm not going to put you guys through that. It's really boring. And by the way, none of this work is ever glamorous. So if you're looking at getting into private investigation and you want glamour, I suggest you really go into a different path. But you can see here about 2013, late 2013, by June, right, he's not getting cards. And then by December, excuse me, yeah, so by November, she's already floated paperwork. As a matter of fact, what was the date on that? I don't know. So there is no date. But you can see right here, it says it's a homestead. So No Morrison has transferred the ownership. And you need... That was my property. I'm clearly, you needed my permission to do anything. You stole even my own personal property. I mean, this is so ridiculous. And tell me again why law enforcement shouldn't be reformed out here. It's ridiculous. Okay, so I'm dogging now. Okay, so what you have here is by December 12th, 2014, okay, he's negative. All his money is gone. These people have... My dad never wrote checks. You can see, look at this whole history. He never floated checks. He knew exactly what he had. But by this time, for the first time in years, he's overdrawn. They literally sucked all the money right out of him. And here's bills from Northern County EMS. And from the residents to the VA hospital. One, why wasn't this covered? Why is he getting bills for it? Two, why is this from 2014 and it's, again, here you go, messing with the bills. William Beaumont Army Medical Center, and here's the old rural route that was supposed to be discontinued. So they're reintroducing old addresses to confuse things. And I'm going to tell you what Northern County, Husband County EMS, what you can do with these bills. 3 guesses. I don't know what this is, but there was all kinds of, like, I'm starting to see, like, stuff like this. My dad didn't do this kind of stuff. So I gotta hunt down and see what all this stuff is. So much work to do. There's a bunch of these addresses. What I do, okay, sorry, I forget that I'm trying to show people. What I do is I actually go through, even if it's empty, I don't throw it away. I'll do a reverse check and see what business this is to. More times than you can believe, I have had more leads come from this just by reverse lookup of who sent that, where does that P.O. box belong to, and I'll be doing some cross references with these and see if any of these tickets, this Dolly Parton concert she went to, was purchased on my dad's dime. But we also have their handwriting here because apparently Carolyn Hodge, Debbie Wright both signed a birthday card. You know, and the way that they taunt these people, I know because I've been through this myself, you know, they'll say things like, yep, you're the man, you know. Remember, there's something very specific you have to pay attention here too, okay? 100% consistent through all the cases I've ever looked at. That, the mark. The mark must have a hand in their own demise. Whether it's a contract in business, whether it's, hey, help me bring in these groceries that, you know, they're always wanting you, they're grooming you with a gift. The acceptance of a gift is also a way of participating in your own demise or in your own grooming. It's a very key signature. You'll notice some of the historical cases I went over, you know, they'll train a pilot, and the pilot, she'll have to sit in the back and she'll have to take notes, and she's learning the process, the craft that will later be an instrument used in her own murder. So these cases are very, very specific. Now, I was able to get, there's 2 phones left. This one does belong to Tammy. And I was able to pull some notes off of it. Now, this is an iPhone. And we all know about iPhones, guys, right? Now, I did charge it. Absolutely. And guess what? You should be able to go to your Apple ID account and look and see where your phone is at. I'm going to keep it charged in hopes that you will show up. But know this. If you come to claim your phones, A, they're forensic evidence into a criminal investigation for reform. And 2, everything you say will be picked up on outdoor video surveillance, as well as all of my question and answers will be done on Instagram Live. So, again, you're welcome to come get your phones, but your face, your remarks, your answers, everything will be 100% live streamed. Until then, these remain in my possession for forensic analysis. Also, I started to notice my father was getting on these notes with like Magellan Midstream Partners, annual pipeline partners. You can clearly see my dad wanted nothing to do with this. Now think about this. We've owned this property since the early 90s, okay? We knew there was oil out there. Don't you think if we wanted to deal with the oil industry, 1, we would come to you. We clearly know where you are. If we wanted to discuss the topic of oil with you, you would know, because I would reach out to you and I would say, excuse me, I'm interested in conducting some oil research with you. That wasn't the case. So, you know, but again, you know, it's kind of like, hey, here we go, we're coming, whether you like it or not. I mean, and then you look here, St. Joseph's Indian School. You know, these are these little address things they give you, right? And then it says here, the prairie sage. You know, the sage came under, it's one of the things that came under attack during the administration under the deregulations. But it says prairie sage, for instance, is one of the most important medicinal and ceremonial plants of the culture. As in the past, aromatic sage is still burned for purification ceremonies and hung in Lakota homes for protection. This one is St. Joseph's Indian School. This one's with the dream catcher. According to legend, the good dreams pass through the center hole to the sleeping person. The bad dreams are trapped in the web where they perish in the dawn, in the light of dawn. Here's another one. And you can clearly see it says Rainbow Mountain Ranch. So they're clearly supporting the Native American culture. And I have, again, handwriting samples here from letters that I found. Now, here's the other thing. I actually found in the house, and you're going to love this, okay? Unemployment benefits for July 15th, 2014 for Christine Miller. Now, her address here in Salt Flat is here, so I have her address. But guess who the employer is? Nurses Unlimited. Now, I have the audio that I already archived, okay, where I specifically requested the records from Nurses Unlimited that had notes in there about her being terminated for what she was doing and the event that took place when I went out. My father was in the hospital. So we have verification she was working for Nurses Unlimited. There's a definite paper trail here that with the right resources and request for information, discovery, we can pull this case together and round up these guys, because again, it's never one person, okay? And you know, I'll get to that in a second. Now, here's something interesting I found, and sorry guys, but I'm just going through this because I'm honestly, remember, this is about getting community feedback. This is an open source investigation, and some of you are public entities. But here's the thing. I've never heard of this, but I thought it was kind of strange, because if you remember all of the stuff that the tension there has been, I mean, the whole Trump administration has been fixated. I mean, like eerily fixated on Obama, Barack Obama. Now, I know why, but this was kind of interesting because at first this is what? Okay, this is a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pages. Trees died for this poor thing. From Judicial Watch in Washington, D.C. Now, it says registered Judicial Watch member, right? But my dad didn't give to these people. He thought they were obnoxious. So I'm not sure how that occurred. But do you know what this talks about? And I wonder if this actually made it outside of Texas. This is the strangest thing. It's called Illegal Alien Executive Amnesty Survey. Illegal Alien Executive Amnesty Impact Project, Process Division, Judicial Watch, right? And then I'm like, you read through this, half of this doesn't even make any sense. So it talks about, and remember, this is before a new administration took place. It's talking about National Taxpayer Impact Survey for Illegal Alien Executive Amnesty. Talking about how basically Barack Obama is this bad guy and he created this scheme to, you know, rip apart the country for millions of, you know, illegal aliens. And then talking about how they need all this money. And they're basically talking really derogatory about Obama and immigration, okay? And see, to block executive amnesty for 4 million aliens, Tom Fitton. And it's saying right here, and you can see it has that overtone of propaganda. You know, I so-and-so agree that the lawless policy of Obama administration of failing to enforce our immigration laws. Now, guys, isn't this kind of like a grooming? As we look back at this document, this was during the whole thing with the election interference. And so, you know, we have had a plague of propaganda and misinformation. And I'm wondering if anybody, because this is really put towards National Impact Survey of Illegal Alien Amnesty on Salt Flat, Texas taxpayers. So I'm wondering if it made it to anybody outside of this targeted area in the West Texas oil boom. And I would love your feedback. But I'm going to hold on to this because, I mean, I just thought that was kind of funny. So that was before. That was during all that going on. So please do not send anything else to my house of your propaganda. I can't stand it. Okay. Okay, so I have my dad's social. That's good. And what is this here? Oh, are you ready? Are you ready? Imagine being in my position right now, okay, where somebody literally tries to erase you, okay, and then doesn't want to deal with you. Look what I have. Income tax return, and for my father and mother, there's both of their socials, there's their names, there's his profession, and daughter, there's my original social. Yes. Yes, 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 I know. So now, you guys, I think what I need to do is file for, I need a new social. I need all new identification. So as I go through this, I think what needs to happen is I need to refile in federal or appeal in Supreme. I'm not sure where that's gonna go, but I'm gonna have to do some research on that. But Lord knows, I mean, I've been floating with next to nothing, absolutely next to nothing. Like how I'm surviving without any identification that's active, I have no idea. And by the way, just to let you know, I have not received anything from the court. And here's the thing. We printed it off, we mailed it, we sent it to the county seat. County seat came back and said, well, we can't process either of them because they're saying that 2 different addresses. Okay, hold on. So you have 2 different people registering from the same household, okay? You can at least register one. Why do you not want to register both? Because one person put down incorrect application address on the other. But get this, they weren't. We took photographs. This is why we take photographs of everything before we send it off. So this is, you want to know what has robbed time and bogs down this kind of BS right here, okay? So now literally all we have to do is print off those photos again, okay? And then you start to see what happened with Khashoggi, which is, you know, or other people who run into these situations, which is, I really need these documents to get on with my life. I really want to walk away and leave you. But they're like, no, you're not going to leave us. We're going to force you to come in here. They'll force you into a position to walk in the paperwork. Now, clearly in an embassy, that's pretty much like being in an island in the middle of hostile territory, okay? I went through that in Canada. It was extremely uncomfortable. You know, they'll do things like what they did to me, which was, you know, I'm one of the first ones in there, and then I'll wait all day. They'll wait till the whole place is cleared out and you're the last one, and then you got 2-3 security guards, you know, leaning over the top of you that are, you know, 14, 16 inches taller than you, and it's intimidation tactics. Yeah, so in the case of this, the Sierra Blanca, the county seat, you're pretty much walking into a bee's nest there. And it's extremely small town on the 10. It's not safe. I don't feel safe. And one of the things that we need to get around is stigma. Okay, people who have never been to this area go, look, it's a rural area. She's crazy. Like, what could possibly go on out there? A lot clearly goes on out there because, you know, they're away from hidden eyes. And then look at this. Look at this. Sheriff Arvin West, Sheriff's Association of Texas, March 12th, 2015. Almost every day I see tragic effects that crime and drugs have on people. You have to pick a newspaper and turn. It's his letter. My father donated to the sheriff's campaign. Yeah. Thanks for your service, jackass. So, in here, also, of this Tammy woman, because I'm not a jerk, and I'm not showing pictures of children, but I have identifications for every member of the family. And I know how hard it is to lose pictures of your children and identification. So again, these will be returned to you should you come to pick them up and answer some questions, sign some paperwork, or they'll return to you under other circumstances. But I was able to retrieve that, my dad's benefit card. So again, his name's just been mixed up everywhere. But you know, something very strange about these group of people. And so now again, investigators, footnote, and a victim of crime if you think you've been stalked. These are very subtle things. Now I'm going to tell you the problem proving these cases, investigating these cases. They are extremely hard to investigate. They're tedious, and like I said, they play to what is hidden and just mundane, right? So one thing I've noticed, and this was confiscated from a recent one that I ran into, they always have this fascination with black United States. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can adjust this so you can see it a little better. Hold on. Whoops, sorry about that. Okay, it's a little better. They always have these black, they have a fascination with black U.S. flags. And so there's little things like that. There's little tattoos they have that are consistent, and you'll want to pay attention to that, okay? And I think when we start to talk about how this small niche area of victims of crime research applies to victims of crime, rights, and violence against women, if you look at the history, it's very understandable why the VAWA Act was torn apart during the last few years, and along with other just logical infrastructure elements that no logical person would remove from the whole of society, from a whole gender, that a law that was designed to protect a whole gender. And I think right now what realistically needs to happen is, like I said in the last episode, there's a whole new statistic that needs to be getting tracked. And so one of the things I've been working on is, how do we do that? How do we document a new victims of crime statistic? And I think this research is at a point here pretty soon after I tidy up, because most of my crime studies have been outlines. They really haven't been in proper book format. So again, after the holidays, starting in the fresh new year, I'm going to look at cleaning up some of this. And I think what we have is a good foundation for tackling a new area of VAWA, and maybe seeing how these cases, because there's different elements of corruption that these cases trickle over into. So you end up with a mark, right? So this is a good example. If you have a mark, okay, a mark, it ended up with all areas of corruption that went from family court, landlord-tenant court, appeal court, district court, federal court, you know, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. So when you start talking about how much money is being spent or misappropriated paying employees to pull this off on the taxpayer dime, and then you look at the potential that the company and the family had, what organizations were they supporting, the infrastructure project, you know, humanitarian endeavors, the taxes that could have been put back into the economy. So you're starting to look at, not only is it costing money, but the whole system is losing money from the inability of other corporations to grow and flourish and be able to also provide and contribute. So this is creating a very dysfunctional cycle here that really overflows into multiple areas. And so this intersection, this interconnectivity factor is something that needs to be looked into as far as getting those crime statistics and corruption statistics down. And I mean, because to me, again, I just see a complete waste of time. I think it's just a complete waste of time. I think at some point, logically, everybody who has a role to play in this has to look at what these people are doing and going, you know what, nobody's going to spend any more money on you. We're not your professional caretakers. We're not going to keep wasting our time cleaning up all your messes. We're not going to waste time, dealing with you people anymore. I mean, it just has to happen at some point. That's just it. With space exploration just on the horizon, I mean, you have to get this planet organized. You have to do that before we take the leap and take on more burden. We can't manage what we have here right now. But again, we're at that place because it's our responsibility collectively as a global community to see the paradigm shift and realize it's dysfunctional because we are experiencing a paradigm shift. Okay? So that kind of takes the burden off of going, okay, you're behaving inappropriately, you're wasting all of our money, you're blowing up people, you're killing 10,000 kids a week in the street, and somehow we're supposed to sit here and politicize this and glorify you. And then you have to understand, the ideology that drives this loves the media attention. Which brings me to a point here. We had a really good, solid family meeting, and we are leaning towards the idea that whether or not we really want our family name attached to any of this, meaning that most likely all of our stuff will be closed cases. Because the nature of these people wanting to be attached to a high-level mark, and then that being used 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the line to commit another crime. We're taking responsibility for what's occurred to our family, and we would prefer just to kind of wipe this off of our boot and move on. We don't want to carry the stink of these people with us for all of eternity. We are seeking a clean break. No publicity for these people. We prefer them just to go away into a prison for the remainder of their life and not be heard of again, and where they cannot do harm to anyone else. Now, two more things. One, a few of you haven't seen me in years and noticed my hands. Yes, I don't show them too often anymore. There we go. But to answer your question, yes, it is painful. Yes, it is related to the situation I'm going through. And yes, we can just categorize this as post-conflict recovery, like much everything else under my health and fitness category. So, yeah, and that's not the focus. At some point, I may talk about that, but again, we're just documenting what is recovered, and I'm not real open to putting my personal stuff out there too much, but kind of wasn't given a choice. But yeah, okay, so that's it. And head over to my Instagram. We're gonna check out this weird funky movie and see what these little computer animation music videos are, because it could be fun, and it's Saturday, and I haven't had fun since, I don't know, the inception of the word. Okay, I will catch up with you guys later. Thanks for tuning in.